There's nothing new about change. Its arrival is sometimes unexpected, but change is perpetual. It's happening all around us all the time. And you'd think we'd be better at coping with change, but history tells a very different story. Back in the 1990s, I remember to watch a movie at home, we used to rent DVDs from high street stores. And there were a couple of guys who were really frustrated with these late return fines. So if you took a DVD back late, they penalised you. So they started a DVD rent by post business. And you could keep the DVD for as long as you liked, but could only rent a new one after returning the first DVD. So meanwhile, on the high street, movie rental giant Blockbuster thought this was absurd. With over 9,000 retail locations, there was frankly no need for change. A few short years later, Blockbuster filed for bankruptcy. 84,000 people lost their jobs. Today, people don't rent DVDs, we stream. And Netflix, that DVD delivery company started by those two smart guys back in the 90s, is now one of the world's leading entertainment platforms. And the same is happening with Uber. Love it or hate it, there's no denying that Uber has no qualms rewriting the rule books. When Uber started up in London, I remember that the drivers of our famous black cabs started a protest. They were arguing that Uber was taking their business, had an unfair advantage, was not playing by the rules. The black cabs blockaded some streets to protest, bringing traffic to a halt across London. And what happened? Well, more people signed up to Uber's faster, cheaper, easier, smarter service that day than ever before. You see, Uber looks at the status quo and sees all its imperfections and tears up the rule books. And change like this from Uber and Netflix is everywhere. Maybe it's not so prevalent in the non-profit sector, but there's nothing new about change. Change is perpetual and unrelenting. And it's those of us who get in the driving seat who come out the winners. Because I believe that change that's happened to us over the last few weeks and in the difficult weeks to come is simply our opportunity to rethink ways of working and to embrace exciting new possibilities. Over the course of today's special event, I hope you've taken the opportunity to listen to many of the great speakers and the ideas that have been shared. And I hope you've taken loads of notes and are starting to formulate a plan in your mind for where your charity goes next. No charity on earth has the deep experience of fundraising during a pandemic on this scale that will be needed. So you're not alone. And there's no point being frozen by uncertainty or mourning the loss of that carefully planned activity plan. You know, that calendar that you spent months creating. It's gone, people. It's history. It's time to rebuild. And so now is your moment to take assertive action to guarantee a positive future for your charity and to shift your mindset from, I don't know, business as usual to whatever the new normal will be. It's yours to create. Hi everyone, I'm Allister Frost and I'm a marketing and change specialist, formerly of Microsoft and Kimberly-Clark. In my day job, I'm a keynote speaker and trainer, helping organisations cope with change. And at this precise moment right now, I'm here with you to share some thoughts on how you can cope with the tsunami of change brought upon us by the global coronavirus pandemic. Now, thinking back on my career, I remember the day when I first joined Microsoft. I had a ton of meetings. You see, prior to joining Microsoft, I'd been a head of marketing for Andrex toilet tissue. I knew all about Labrador puppies and soft toilet paper, but software was, well, a very different beast. And on my first day, I remember having a ton of induction meetings and being bombarded with acronyms and abbreviations. None of it made any sense. And I'd scribble notes all day long, and then I found myself working late into the night at home trying to make sense of it all. It was exhausting. A few weeks in, and I'm in a big team meeting. We're all seated around the big table, and yet again I'm there with my feverishly writing notes down, and the boss is babbling on about APIs, how we need to adapt our messaging to leverage APIs, how the API will give us a competitive advantage. And everyone's nodding and writing things in their notepads or typing on their laptops. And that's when it hit me. I can't go on like this. what on earth is an API? So I put down my pen and rather anxiously asked the question. I'm sorry, what's an API? And I'll never forget the quizzical looks around the room. The boss turned to a colleague and asked her to explain. It's the program that allows our program to talk to another program, I think. And another person pipes up. No, it's an interface that enables external functionality within our software. And finally, I get some sense. Our API stands for Application Programming Interface. But that's as far as the explanation went. Now, it turns out that everyone in the room kind of knows what an API is, but very few people know what it stands for, and even fewer can coherently explain what it does. It's just a shorthand we're all using for a feature built into some of our software. And you see, that's the day that I realized in a world that's moving so quickly, where change is perpetual and unrelenting, it's okay not to have all the answers. It's okay to admit your ignorance. And unless you have the courage to ask, what is that thing? Or what does it do? Or why is all this happening? You're admitting to yourself that you don't know and may never know. Because today, the change happening in our crisis-riddled world is coming at us so quickly, we can't wait to have all the information before deciding how to act. We've got to learn to thrive in this ambiguity, to start seeing new constraints and restrictions as wonderful opportunities. Like me, you're going to have to learn to delight in the magical thrill of change. The good news is that we humans are expert at coping with change. We've been evolving all our lives, yet few of us realize how much we're changing all the time. These days, I can't imagine going out without my smartphone. In fact, to be fair, right now, I can't imagine going out, but that's another story. But even within my house, I keep my smartphone with me when I go from room to room. Yet a few years ago, I used to have to carry a few coins in my pocket in case I needed to make an emergency call from a phone box. Similarly, it seems perfectly normal for me to be sitting here in my home office talking to hundreds of people around the world. Yet a few years ago, I'd have needed to book a giant conference venue to reach such an audience. The phrase I use to describe this universal truth is ready already. We are ready already for any change that life throws at us. And the latest changes imposed upon us by the global crisis are simply the most recent opportunity for us to think differently and to do better. I think it's fair to say that in truth, most of us are lazy. We get set in our ways. We do the same things the same way because it's good enough and it kind of works, right? But change, of course, is something we fear. It's hard, it's risky, it's tiring. But the people who will succeed tomorrow see today as their opportunity to reinvent. They see the change as an invitation to reinvention. They see and seize new possibilities with an energetic willingness to try something new. Look, we can all sit around and feel despondent, or we can grab the challenge, kick it firmly up the backside and start creating our new reality today. Still not convinced you're ready already? Well, look, here's a simple question. What would you like to be able to do while driving? Now, you're probably scratching your head thinking, what else could you do in your car, and you might struggle to come up with some radical ideas, even though radical arguably is exactly what's happening to the driving experience with modern cars today. And when asked, unprompted, what they'd like to be able to do while driving, most people come up with quite simple, often pre-existing ideas like, I'd like to be able to listen to podcasts, or I'd like to be able to talk hands-free on the phone, stuff like that. But in a recent study by Global Web Index, and full disclosure, they are one of my clients, but they're a great company. The Global Web Index did this study, and when prompted with possible feasible new capabilities, most people are super keen to try out new things while driving. 61% of people said they'd like their car to be able to find them a nearby parking space. That would be amazing, wouldn't it? Not having to drive around aimlessly finding that space, but to actually have it pointed out to you and to drive you to it. 57% wanted to be able to use voice commands to talk to their car to change the music. 52% thought it would be great to be able to pay for fuel in advance. Now, technologically, all of those things are possible. And when unprompted, we wouldn't think about having that ability. But when offered the option to do those things, we leap at the chance. I remember from the study, a further 38% said they'd like to be able to do their weekly shopping while driving. Personally, I'm not sure that one will catch on. I mean, surely driving is complicated enough without having to try to remember what's left in your fridge for dinner tonight. But anyway, you see, when we show people new possibilities that make their lives easier or better or more positive or more meaningful, they're often really eager to embrace them. They are ready already for whatever changes life throws their way, just as you are ready already to make the most of the challenges presented by the coronavirus pandemic. Another of my rules is that the opportunities you must pursue are already close at hand. Please don't make the rookie mistake of thinking that everything needs to change to make a new thing possible. Many organisations today, when faced with this urgent need to find new ways of functioning, may feel the need for radical, outlandish reinvention. They'll think they need to do a Netflix when, frankly, they're barely a blockbuster today. So you don't need to reinvent everything, but you do need to very quickly make small things better. So think about some of the best responses to the constraints imposed upon us by the pandemic. Many of them are joyfully simple and easy to implement. Here in the UK, all the pubs and bars are closed to visitors. They're closed for health reasons. But many pubs are now reinventing themselves and operating as home delivery food providers. Some are selling great beer via click and collect. The gyms also had to close, but many personal trainers are now offering private training sessions over video conference calls. My local butcher, get this, my local butcher is now selling healthy fruit and vegetables. Who'd have thought? All of these changes happened because of sudden necessity. These businesses were faced with an urgent need to find fresh ways to serve customers to keep their business alive. And perhaps, like me, you're now wondering why it was that we couldn't get fabulous home delivery food or beer from the pub before. I'm asking myself why I always had to go to the gym to work out and I couldn't video conference. I'm not even sure why shops needed to be open 7 days a week. When good change happens, the radically different can become the new normal in the blink of an eye. So don't be afraid of making changes to your operating model. As long as the changes you introduce serve your donors, your volunteers, your staff well, you may be surprised how open the rest of the world will be to your reinvention. So where do we start? Well, I would begin with your purpose. Remind yourself, as if you need to, why your charity exists. What's the core purpose it serves? What positive difference does it make to the world? And now you know why you're important, here sadly is the kicker. The way you delivered your remarkable service before the crisis was designed for a way of living that no longer exists. It's gone. In-person fundraising events are out of the question. Street collections are outlawed. Even getting volunteers to help the people we strive to serve may prove impossible. But our purpose, our mission, our reason for being hasn't changed one bit. So now is the time to double down on passion that burns inside you, to make a positive difference to the world. So many people deprived of their normal existence are crying out for meaning in their lives. And sure, they may be worried about their financial position, their job, their family, but a sense of purpose and an opportunity to help others can bring immense meaning to people in distress. You see, you can be that meaning. You can be the agent that brings meaning to the lives of people experiencing radical change and turmoil. Your purpose, your activism, your heart, your passion can be their guiding light in a time of darkness, anxiety, and worry. But let's not bet the farm on just one big change. We need to be smart here. We need to be agile. We need to be prepared to test possibilities so we can find out what works. The best changes are the ones that can be implemented easily and quickly so we can rapidly learn if they work or not. So spread the risk of change by running lots of little tests. Host an online coffee morning. If it works, do another. Great. Run a charity auction over video conference. If it works, do it bigger next time. Replace some in-store collection boxes with contactless payment terminals. If it works, get some more. It's like when you go for an eye test and the optician, no, that's not the optician, ophthalmologist, I think they're called, the people that do the eye test, they make you wear those crazy glasses and they find the right prescription for your eyes by trying one lens and then another. Is it better? Is it worse? And some lenses improve your vision, some make it worse, but in a very short space of time, after doing enough little tests, they find the perfect corrective treatment for your eyesight. It's test and learn. Test and learn. That's how we evolve. And Coca-Cola gives out a brilliant annual Celebrate Failure award to one lucky employee. The winner is the person who tried something new and frankly crashed and burned in the most spectacular fashion. But more importantly, they didn't just fail, they learned. They emerged from the wreckage a better person. They shared their story and they helped others to avoid similar mistakes, gifting them the courage to try something new for themselves. In the charitable sector, many of you will face similar challenges. Perhaps as a collective, you can help each other through the difficult months ahead by sharing your learnings more openly. It's far more efficient to make a mistake once than it is to make it once inside every charitable organisation. And just as Coca-Cola does, I invite you to celebrate your learnings, not just your successes. That's how we make change a way of life. The true measure of a successful day of work is knowing how much you learned to ready you for what's coming tomorrow. I'd like to invite you today to see the changes and challenges we face as wonderful opportunities to stop lazily repeating what we've always done. Maybe this is just a much needed moment of recalibration, as some people have said, where we have a chance to rethink what we do and to come up with better ways to pursue and deliver our purpose. It's like that time your teacher or boss told you had to work harder to raise your game. It felt rough, didn't it? Maybe a little unfair, but you learned from that experience and you came out the other side a stronger person. One of the greatest truths in life is that we humans tend to massively overestimate the significance of events happening today. And for all the horrors of the pandemic, some years from now, few of us will remember today's short-term anxieties and problems. We will, God willing, adapt and evolve and move on with our lives just as we've always done. And similarly, a few years from now, we won't remember the strange ways our organisation functioned before the pandemic. The fear that we felt when this change suddenly happened and was thrust upon us, it won't haunt us for long. We'll get over it. We are, all of us, ready already to cope with everything we need to do. All that's left to do is to go do it. I wish you every success as you reinvent the work of your charity. I encourage you to joyfully abandon outdated ways of working, to share your experiences and to race towards new, exciting possibilities. It won't be easy. You've got this. Stay happy. Stay healthy. Be awesome.